So when you feel motivated, you find the energy to do what you want to do.
Welcome to The Executives, the show where we navigate in the intricate world of executive leadership, exploring strategies, insights, and personal stories of successful professionals shaping the global business landscape. I'm your host, Majid, and joining us today is Dr. Manel Gonzalez, who is a doctor in economics and currently is the head of innovation at the Research Center for Biomedical Engineering at the Barcelona Tech, UPC, and the head of CRTEC-SALUT. He is a professor of economics and innovation at the Faculty of Economics and Business at the University of Barcelona and at the Music College of Catalonia. He has also worked in the business development of the Biotechnology Research Center at the National Research Council Canada and the University of Technology in Sydney and many more places. He has published several scientific research articles and 3 books. Let us welcome Dr. Manel. Hola y bienvenidos al podcast, Dr. Manel.
Hola, Majid. Un placer saludarte desde Barcelona. This is my pleasure to say you hello from Barcelona.
I hope I did justice to Spanish.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we can manage in several languages, but I think that the proper language for today is English. So
Yes.
I'm happy to share this conversation with you and all your listeners.
It would be nice that I gave an introduction about who is Dr. Manel, but it would be nice if you also tell us about in more detail who you are.
It's quite difficult to define oneself, but well, I'm a curious person interested mainly in the field of innovation. I like exploring innovation in different fields and from different perspectives. That's why it's true. I work in several areas. So I work as the head of innovation in a research center for biomedical engineering at the Technical University of Catalonia. At the same time, I have a position as a professor at the University of Barcelona at the Economics School. And the last 2 years, I received a proposal for joining the Music College of Catalonia because they wanted to integrate a person, an expert in innovation in the field, in order to develop innovation strategy with musicians, music festivals, and music producers. So, well, I love challenges, and I love this idea that we can explore in depth, but I love this idea of applying and connecting different knowledges, different technologies, in order to find new solutions.
Interesting. So teaching and working in tech, biomedical, which is very hardcore tech, and also working with music and which is sort of different innovation in both perspectives, right?
Yeah, it's not strange for me because I always had a lot of different interest, and it's true that culture and well, cultural and creative industries was one of my main focus from the beginning. It has been a personal interest. I love reading, I love theater, I love music. But it's true that I don't know why when I start to explore for the first jobs in my career, I always receive proposals from the high-tech companies. It's quite curious because it is not something that they look for, but it arrives. With the pass of the years, I think that maybe they look for a different profile, a person with a different view, I don't know, somebody thinking out of the box. But it's true that when I had the opportunity of connecting, I think that we'll go in depth, but there's a moment in which I have the opportunity of connecting this part of the cultural management and health tech industries. When there was this clash, it was so interesting because I was expecting that for a long time. And maybe years ago, it was not easy to think in this idea of cross-fertilization of knowledges and technologies because everything was more separated in vertical silos, this idea of the closed innovation perspective. But with the open innovation perspective, everything starts to change. We are in a liquid society. We start to connect a lot of cultures, a lot of practices, a lot of sectors. And obviously, exploring a problem in an industry and looking for that solution in a different industry and finding that and adapting to your industry, it's quite interesting. I think that it works. This is the idea of cross innovation, and I mainly focus on that idea. So this is one of my favorite theories in this field of innovation, this idea of the cross industry innovation.
It's interesting to see like how we are from different industries. I am from a software background, electrical engineering, software, and you come from more biomedical engineering and also the music side. But you're talking about cross innovation. We have a brilliant topic for discussion today, which is from academic pursuits to innovation frontiers: the journey in shaping real world solutions. Because this is a topic I've been getting requests for people who are either doing PhDs or who have done PhDs. They are or who want to do PhDs. They are confused that if they do PhD, the only option they have is most likely academia, which is not true. And which is why you were the ideal person. So I was like, he's working in academia, plus he's connected with the industry. So let's talk about this, But before we talk about that, let's first look into what actually inspired you to do a PhD, and how has it actually influenced your professional path?
In my case, I must say that I was never interested in a PhD. When I finished my bachelor's degree, so I first studied business administration. I wanted to work and start in a big corporate at the marketing department, and then I start to explore other possibilities. I must say that I was one of the first profiles that start to work in tech transfer in Barcelona because it was a special program funded with funds from the European Commission, and they tried to detect entrepreneurial profiles at the university. There was a big selection of people. There were more than 200 candidates, and only 7 were selected. And I started to work. I was one of the guys and started to work in quantum computing. It was a joint venture between UB Xerox from Rochester, New York, and the University of Barcelona. It was very interesting. I was 2 years there. But I never expected to start a PhD, but I was always in contact with the academia. But I think that that decision finally arrived very naturally. For some time, the director of the Research Center for Biomedical Engineering at the Technical University of Catalonia, we had a very good relationship, and she told me that maybe I had to pursue a PhD. At that time, I was already working as an assistant professor at the Faculty of Economics at the University of Barcelona, collaborating with a group of cultural management. And it was when I made the connection between these two worlds, apparently totally separated, non-connected, health technologies and culture, that things became clear. So in CREB UPC, there was a research group working on simulation, serious games, and gamification. And this allowed me to connect and conduct a preliminary work on the video game ecosystem in Catalonia, analyzing the entities involved, their significance, and how they impact the ecosystem in Catalonia. So subsequently, the scope of the PhD expanded. And then, yeah, I had a beginning, I had an excuse for starting this process, and the challenge extended to studying consortia forming European research projects funded by the European Commission, wherein companies in serious games or gamification played integral roles. So this academic journey not only deepened my understanding of these domains, but also significantly influenced and shaped my professional trajectory. In that case, as I was a different profile, not the common profile of PhD students, I sought guidance from 2 co-directors to ensure a comprehensive perspective for my PhD journey. One of them was from the Faculty of Physics, renowned for expertise in innovation and technology transfer, Dr. Esteve Joanola, and the second one was from the Faculty of Economics, specializing in cultural management, Dr. Lluís Bonet. In fact, Lluís Bonet was the son of the architect of Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. He was responsible for 40 years. So he was very involved in cultural management. So finally, my thesis project aimed to dissect European research consortia funded by the European Commission. The primary focus was on unraveling the intricate web of knowledge and technology exchange among diverse partners. The overarching goal was to identify optimal strategies for generating innovative proposals. And well, I stayed there for 3 years. One of these years I was in Norway at the Inland Norway University in Lillehammer. I also could work with the Norwegian government developing a working paper about the video game ecosystem in Norway and analyzing all the value chain of the ecosystem, what kind of agents were in the value chain, and how, from a public perspective, the Norwegian government could support all the video game value chain in Norway. So it was super interesting, in 3 very intensive years. My methodology employed a systematic approach, quantifying factors such as technological gaps, cultural nuances, and core knowledge contributions. And the ultimate objective was to gain profound insights into effective strategies for fostering collaboration within European research consortia. So this endeavor not only enriched my academic journey, but also contributed to a deeper understanding of collaborative dynamics in the realm of European research projects. Obviously, it was not easy, with a lot of challenges, because these 3 years were so intensive. One thing to have into account is that perhaps the greatest challenge was embarking on this journey when my fraternal twins were just a year old. So it was obviously very tough, but extremely beautiful. But it was so crazy because I thought I never wanted to start a PhD journey. And I finally decided to do that when I have 2 kids of 1 year old. And well, I want to do all of that in 3 years.
Respect. You mentioned a lot of amazing things, but let's first talk about the challenges, because you mentioned that you also had challenges. The 3 years were not easy, and PhD is not easy, and it's not meant for everyone, right? So what were the challenges that you actually faced during your PhD journey?
Well, obviously, as I said, the greatest challenge was embarking on this journey with 2 1-year-old kids. So obviously, wow, imagine what it represents. So it's not easy. And also at the same time, so I didn't receive any grant. It was not my proposal. So I continued working at the Research Center for Biomedical Engineering. I continued teaching at the university, and I took on this challenge by dedicating virtually all my weekends and evenings for 3 years. Well, evenings and nights, because I remember last year I stayed every night until 1, 2 a.m. So it was demanding, but it was worth it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Obviously, there's a lot of motivation. So this is so important. So when you feel motivated, you find the energy to do what you want to do. Yeah, if you analyze from a very objective way, it's clear that maybe it's not the best moment for starting this journey. But in terms of opportunity, so I have this eureka moment in which I see the connection of 2 fields, and I was looking for this connection for a long time. So finally I found it, connecting serious games, health games, with the video game industry. So I found the whole for starting a research that made sense and could add value.
Interesting. A lot of times people think that universities are not really contributing towards the real world problems, but you mentioned now European Commission, you mentioned the role of universities, you worked with universities, and you have been in the game or in the industry for a long time. So how do you see the role of universities evolving in the landscape of innovation and research?
Well, interesting to have this conversation, because I'm one of the critical guys always, in a positive way. But yeah, I believe that there is a growing awareness of the need to conduct research that directly impacts society. And this should be a crucial role of universities, especially the public ones. In my case, I work in public universities. So at CREB, at the Research Center for Biomedical Engineering, we are currently comprising 13 research groups in health-related technologies. And we realized that we were gradually capable of generating almost one spin-off per year. And we are talking around 100 researchers. So we are like an island in the university. We are an exception in our university. But this evolution stemmed from the understanding that negotiating the licensing of a patent was complex in terms of economic returns and control. So over time, we embraced the idea that the most effective way to bring our research to the market was by actively contributing to the creation of these spin-offs. So this belief gained momentum when we secured funding to establish a project called XartecSALUT. It is the Innovation and Valorization Network on Health Tech of Catalonia. It is a project in which I was involved 3 months preparing the project, connecting the partners, negotiating with them. But through this initiative, which currently brings together 81 research groups from different institutions, hospitals, universities, and technology centers in Catalonia, we established a small venture builder. So this is something we wanted to do. A small venture builder providing personalized support in early stages of potential projects. So we try to scout the technologies in these labs from these 81 research groups, and we propose to support some of these technologies, accelerating and supporting the translation of research into impactful innovations. This is something we wanted to do because I also support some incubation programs or acceleration programs in which I'm involved as a mentor or in different ways in the board. And the most critical point is that when you detect a potential technology that could be impactful, but you need to pass this transition of 1 year, 1.5 years, trying to find funds. In some cases, you apply for European funds, for Spanish funds. But this transition, supporting all these processes is so difficult. So our focus was trying to give a very personalized, a very craft support to the researchers and the CEO at this term. And also one beautiful thing is that, well, we can introduce this idea later, but I'm also very interested in the idea of talent. So we discovered that we had the opportunity to find good CEOs for these startups in our university because we have a lot of engineers, but with a good training program, we could prepare them for leading these startups.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, because I personally love venture builders and also accelerators, incubators. My MBA thesis was on this concept about accelerators and incubators, and having one in the university is really good because that's the time when a lot of people have a lot of energy and they can actually use that accelerator plus their semester and get feedback from different professors as well. Like if you're working on something and you have the course of strategy, for example, and in strategy course you normally study this business model canvas as well. So if you have an idea or a problem to solve, you can use that in the course plus actually do something that will build up maybe into a company. There is a probability, right, at the end of the day. So I really like the whole venture building concept and spin-offs. That way the university also has sort of check and balance that they are actually contributing. How many companies did they launch, how many of them raised money, and they build their own network as well, and powerful network. And at the end of the day, if let's say even one person each year launches a company, which is a very low number, right, and this one company actually becomes successful, I'm not talking ultra successful like Google or Amazon, I'm talking about something small, mid-sized, hiring 20-30 people, which is pretty decent. It's still giving the opportunity of work to 20-30 people. So it's actually economical benefit. Or am I saying something wrong here?
No, it's true. So at the moment, one of the things that we want to do is emphasizing this fundamental aspect in which a university plays a crucial role, and it is the talent. So we need to assist this talent We need to support it, especially our master's and doctoral students, in navigating their research journey. It's essential to help them understand that they can leverage their efforts and advance in the value chain, thereby achieving economic and or social impact. Also, from my vision, I always like supporting these projects with social impact. For me, economic and social impact go together. This is part of my vision of innovation. And specifically, we are currently addressing a concerning issue in Spain, the brain drain. Majid, you are located in Berlin?
Yes.
And, well, brain drain in Spain is one of the problems because we've realized that the only way to retain these brilliant students that we have in our faculties and schools is by opening a third path for them, the entrepreneurial journey. So in addition to the academic path or joining large corporations, the two classical possibilities for them, where many choose to move to countries like Germany and Denmark for better compensation. We have a lot of good students. Our best students, most of the time, they accept job offers from Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, and they study in a public university, so paid with our taxes. So we want to support them in an early stage entrepreneurial process because we know that the only way to retain them is supporting their research projects and providing them the tools for putting in practice all the results of that research. So this is a very important problem in Spain, that we have very good students, we form them in very good universities, but finally they don't contribute to the Spanish market because they move outside to other ecosystems in which obviously the wages are higher. Also, yeah, this is a big problem. Then from the point of view of these entrepreneurial projects, so successful research projects often stem from addressing unmet needs. So this is so relevant. In our case, we maintain direct contact with clinicians in hospitals, fostering proximity to the patients. So this is so important for us. With some of the hospitals in the city of Barcelona, we have maybe 15, 16 projects. So understanding the real needs of the patients allows us to contemplate how the knowledge we generate can propose solutions to these challenges. And our research is highly applied, grounded in practical applications. And additionally, it's essential for other university groups to explore research avenues where outcomes are not yet clear. This approach generates fundamental knowledge needed to tackle challenges. Sometimes I propose in class an exercise I learned from the business school HEC in Paris. It's called concept knowledge. It's an exercise in which they divide the knowledge in three types. The first one is what exists and what we know. The second one is what exists and we don't know. And the third one is what doesn't exist yet and we must create. So this last is crucial. And I think that public universities and official bodies have a responsibility to initiate new research lines, generating knowledge to address significant challenges such as in the environmental issues, drought, a big problem in Spain now, chronic diseases, etc. So this proactive approach ensures that universities contribute to creating new knowledge for the pressing challenges we face. So in our case, we support a lot of applied research projects, but at the same time, we need public bodies, public institutions starting new research lines in new materials, in new disciplines. So it's very important to develop these new fields.
Interesting.
Well, maybe many things. So because
that's what I'm thinking. It's a lot of powerful information.
Yeah, because I start to talk about the brain drain because this is one of the biggest problems we have with our students because, well, they are receiving a good education, they are trained so well, and they are so attractive in the global market. And obviously, we cannot compete. Our companies don't pay the same wages that a company from the north of Europe, for example. So we lose them. So the only way to retain them is supporting their entrepreneurial project. And when a PhD spent 3, 4, 5 years in a research, well, having the opportunity of transferring all this knowledge into the market, into society, I think that this is something so attractive. But we need to create a better ecosystem, and we need to generate more facilities for making this process easier.
I'm just thinking like brain drain is happening. I know, and also in Germany, I see another problem as well. They see that talent is a little cheaper if they hire people from Asia. If they just build up an office there, talent becomes a little cheaper. Then it used to be very cheap, but now the difference is much less. So it's every country what I see is having their own problems. And because I originally come from Pakistan, and the companies in Pakistan are struggling for the same reason. So what companies also do from Germany is they will hire someone in Pakistan, but this person stays in Pakistan. So, and what happens is if they were supposed to pay him 6,000 euros gross salary, they will only have to pay him 2,000 in Pakistan, and 2,000 in Pakistan is a lot of money. So because our living costs are lower, our generally 2,000 euro is a lot of money. So you can easily live a good life there. So what happens is then the people who are also in Germany are sometimes struggling. So I see good talent as well from all across the globe, who are in Germany but struggling because they are not able to get the salaries they deserve. So it's a little it's and especially with this whole problem about layoffs everywhere, especially in tech. It's I saw companies laying off and I was confused. Like I was like, they have money, the people they laid off are working good, so very loyal, very trustable, but they still laid them off. And after firing them, the company started hiring again for the same positions. So talent for me, very complex thing. I'm always thinking, like for example, the case I mentioned that where the company had the money, they had no issue with the money. They were hitting all their goals, everything, but they still fired people. Like 20% or 17% of their workforce was let go. There are, like, I know some companies which are trying to hire for the positions they fired, and they are not able to hire anyone. They're really struggling because they destroyed their reputation.
Yeah, yeah, the retention of the talent, it's also one of the big problems. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's quite complex because obviously we live in a global ecosystem. We talk about ecosystems, making reference, for example, in our case, to the ecosystem of Barcelona. But obviously, this is like a node in a global network. So all this idea of theory of networks. So everything is connected. So finally, you are a node, so small, but you are interconnected with others. And yes, companies have workers anywhere in the world, and the good workers decide where they want to be. And also retaining them is so difficult because this is like the Maslow pyramid. So money it's at the base of the pyramid, but once you solve that, what makes attractive a new job is not money. Maybe
Mm,
it's the conditions, vacations, hours per week. Well, you start to value in a different way. So in innovation, we always say that is so subjective. Value is very subjective.
mm,
It depends on the customer segment. So
mm,
in that case, for each person, what is really valuable is different. So we need to understand this complexity, and maybe we need to start to develop different ways for attracting and retaining this talent, because it's what you say. Yeah, you can have people in a cheaper country working for you, but they are in the same team of people that maybe are earning the double or the triple of money. So you need to solve all these cultural distances that separate these people, because finally what you are creating is an only team. and the good companies work when there's the feeling of being part of the same project.
Mm.
So this complexity is obviously part of our of our time, but well, it's an interesting challenge to solve. Yeah, there are
Mm.
different examples. Companies trying to solve in a different way. But my proposal is, for example, this idea. I love this idea of values-based innovation of Ludwig Freund. In he's from Germany. I like him. This idea of finally the companies need to align their values with the values of their potential customers.
Mm.
So customers have values, so your company has values. In the base of the pyramid, you need to align these values. If not, you are washing. You do greenwashing, pinkwashing, sports washing. But if you do that, you can upscale and include the values in your business model. And finally, in the top of the pyramid, you finally include that in the mission, in the vision, and in definition of the values of your company. So
Mm.
I think that this is so important because especially the younger generations, the Z generation, for example, give a lot of relevance to the values. There are a lot of studies. I'm so interested in this idea of values. I was analyzing some data last week, and for example, for the Z generation, the 80% of people in this generation take into account the values when
Mm.
they choose a brand. And for example, when they choose a job, the 71%, this is the last data I have from a study, they take into account the values of the company. So maybe the money is not the most relevant. It's
Mm.
important, as I said, as the basics, because obviously you need a good salary in order to stay there. But okay, but the values are aligned with their values. So as a company,
Mm.
you must understand that.
That's very true because I mean Gen Z has actually accepted that they won't buy a house. Like I have a lot of friends who are Gen Z, and they like whenever you ask them, "Are you planning to buy a house?" and they're like, "Nah, the interest rate is too high." Like interest rates right now, I'm not sure about Spain, but Germany, UK, I've saw it is highest right now. So if you're not going to be paying mortgage, you can live more humbly and have a smaller apartment, you know, and then basically live a better life. Travel, for example. Like I know someone who, for her, it is very important that the company allows her to work remotely. Very important because in winters she's not here. She's traveling to Vietnam, to Singapore, to Thailand, you know, and then in summer she's back in Germany. And I remember her, like last office actually told her that you have to come to the office and we are canceling remote work. You're not allowed to work outside of Germany anymore. She did not even get a job. She immediately resigned. So basically, like you mentioned, then for these people, it's like 80%. You said it's value is more important, and I think not only Gen Z but also the ones millennials also it's becoming more important because values are important. Like I saw my friends who have kids, their life changed when the whole thing started. You know, with COVID started, and then when remote working started, they wanted to support the kids and so on, and the husband and wife started having more like understanding that the husband takes the kids on Monday, Tuesday, and the wife takes them on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They figure it out, but it became a normal habit for them. So now, if you take a stick and tell them, "Hey, you know what? No, we don't accept you doing this. You have to come to the office." They will retaliate. They will say, "No, we are out. We are not going to work this." And then the whole thing about layoffs or quiet quitting is happening, you know, like all across the globe, not only in Spain, Germany, UK. It's happening everywhere. Wherever
Mm.
people got used to remote working or hybrid working, if you give them the luxury, you can't just take it away. It is going to be really hard. Companies often forget that they need people to work and you need to keep the people happy. So if I have a team, and I don't care where they work from, and you know, as far as they're delivering me the results, I don't care if they work at 1 a.m. or if they work at 1 in the afternoon. And then this is what also increases the number of applicants for me. or any company I've seen recently. So, but this is a very interesting topic. But you mentioned in the beginning something about cross innovation, which is something I also want to talk about. What exactly is cross innovation?
Well, yes, I talk about cross innovation, cross industry innovation. So it involves creatively applying solutions from other industries to address current market needs. So it's about thinking beyond your industry's borders, seeking inspiration and co-creating innovative solutions by linking multiple industries. So the goal is to formulate new strategies and target and tap market segments, often solving a sector's problem by adapting solutions from seemingly unrelated industries. So there's a there's an article by Bene, Benke, and Teuteberg. They say that when you intersect at the intersection of two non-related industries, you can find the solution to your problems. That's interesting point to explore. So this is so interesting because what they say that there are like three steps. So the first one involves abstracting and conceptualizing an issue detected in one industry A, by seeking analogies in solutions from a different sector, step two, in an industry B. So the company in the industry A can then adopt and adapt those solutions, step three. So I like, for example, in my classes, I like to work with my students because sometimes they propose solutions that are quite difficult to develop for different reasons, for economic reasons, or for a practical reason, for time. So what I try to do is, I say always, try to conceptualize this solution, try to conceptualize this idea, and we start to develop from this idea different visions of this idea. So finally, there's always the opportunity to find something easier to apply. So this is something I love from this perspective of cross innovation. For example, I have an illustrative example from my first years at CREB UPC, and it involves a visit from a toll booth operator manager, a busy entry and exit point in Barcelona. So they were looking for a good solution for a problem that was the vehicle occupancy detection. So in the upper side of the city, there are tunnels, and you pay for crossing the tunnels by Vidrera. They are called by Vidrera. Maybe you know them. I don't know. So when they visited our robotics lab, they identified a vision system initially designed for medical robotics as a solution for vehicle occupancy detection. So with some adaptation, this solution enabled charging based on the number of occupants in the vehicle. So it was a simple adaptation. It didn't take a long time, but they were looking for that solution for 2 years. So finally, they visited our lab and they said, could you do that? And we said, yes, we think so. And our researchers work on the solution, and in a month, they provided the proper one. So it's very interesting. And also for innovation, when you don't have a lot of money, you cannot pay research. So it's a way of exploring, okay, other people tested that solution for me in a different market. So maybe it's time to learn from that. I can take this knowledge and I just need to transfer that into my market.
Interesting. This is brilliant because, I mean, when I was becoming an engineer, I had one professor, he always used to say, if you cannot find a solution in your own field, look at other fields. He was a pure PhD in electronics engineering, so super nice guy, and he always used to say this to us. And whenever now I think about it, like, and also I'm listening to you, I'm able to connect that what he means by that, and because if you sometimes the problems that we are looking at, it's a new problem for me, but it's already solved by someone else in somewhere else. For example, the whole goal of this podcast is also the same, that maybe my problem tomorrow is a problem that you had yesterday and you already solved it. So people listening to this are able to relate, oh, I was thinking about this, and then they're like, okay, so this is how I should solve this. which is also, I think, in like related to cross innovation. Now, because we are also approaching towards the end, I do have some like fun questions, so to say, like, because this is something I've been
Good.
getting a lot uh, from aspiring people who want to actually do a PhD. So, what advice would you give someone who's actually considering doing a PhD in today's academic environment?
I like more the word of inspiring people. I like when I'm invited for inspiration talks, or for example, in class, I try to inspire my students because I need to motivate them. So, my advice the first one is please choose a field of knowledge or industry that truly motivates and impassions you. This is so important because that's life. Life is passion. And also learning is an emotional process. And the same goes for work. So devoting time to what you love is inherently rewarding. So every year, I start my classes. Every year, well, the last year, I decided to start my classes with a question for both undergraduate and master students. The question is, how do you want to contribute to a better future? I start my classes, this question, and a white box. So you can write what you want. Life is short. It's beautiful. Sometimes it's painful, but it's beautiful. It deserves to be lived. So how do you want to contribute to a better future? Because I think that life is not making money or no. That's why for me innovation obviously is looks for the impact in the economic and but also in the social way. So the social impact for me is super important. We need to live a world better than what we found, and it's quite difficult. Sometimes you say, no, it's not possible. I don't want to contribute in a bad way. So I want to contribute in my best way. So if you want to do a PhD, think about that. How do you want to contribute to a better future?
Interesting, interesting. And continuing on this, because you're in academia and industry, so I often am asked, how do I stay up to date? So I'm curious to know, how do you stay up to date in your field? Because you have to juggle with the academia side, which is different, and also the industrial side, which is, I mean, they are both progressing in different manners, right? But at the end of the day, they are not exactly copy paste of each other.
First of all, curiosity. Be curious. Be nonconformist. Be yourself. Be the best version of yourself. And then, obviously, for example, in the realm of innovation strategy, innovation management, my fields, I maintain currency through a comprehensive approach. So I actively immerse myself in ongoing learning and extensive reading. So I participate in several projects. I conduct research and I collaborate, in my case, closely with a team of researchers from Christiana Business School and Inland Norway University in Norway. Also, I try to participate in writing books. For example, now I'm writing 2 chapters for 2 different books. One is about creative cities, the second one is about new ways of funding for culture. So finally, this multifaceted engagement ensures that I remain at the forefront of developments and insights within the dynamic field of innovation. But curiosity, because I'm a curious person. I'm interested in many things. So I like reading about ancient Greek culture, but at the same time about the I don't know, the conflict between TikTok and Universal Group, and also at the same time about the new development of an exoskeleton for a startup. Yeah. But you need to find your way. So all of us are different.
That's true. That's true. But I think curiosity stays the same. If you're not curious about something, you will struggle even reading one page of anything. But you mentioned now, and I also know that you have written 3 books, and now you're writing the fourth one, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's not a fourth one. Now I'm contributing in 2 chapters in 2 different books.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm co-authoring these books. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So tell us about the 3 books that you have actually written.
Well, the last one, for example, was about innovation in the culture management. It was trying to connect all the innovation theory with the field of cultural management. It was the idea. So we presented all the theory, the main theories, and we connected them with the goal of culture using several examples, several business cases, and we also analyzed different cases from different parts of the world. It was quite interesting. The second one was analyzing the ecosystem of video games in Catalonia. And the third one was an analysis connecting nanobiotechnology with serious games. It was a study connecting the two ecosystems in Catalonia in order to understand the synergies between both ecosystems.
Are these in English or Spanish?
The first two are in English. The third one is in Spanish. And because from the cultural management perspective, I teach at the University of Barcelona, and we receive a lot of students from LATAM, from Latin American countries, and the idea was developing material for supporting all this process of learning for these students, and it was quite successful. This last one, yeah.
Interesting. I would love to read. I mean, I don't speak Spanish, but I would love to read the other two books then.
Next time, when I have the opportunity to meet you, I will give you one as a present.
Thank you. That's an honor actually, because book is if you wrote a book, that's the highest for me. That's the highest level of respect that I can get, because I also wrote like 2 books, and whenever I give a book to someone, it's considered like really. I'm giving them a lot of respect, so I'm very very grateful for that. And I would love to read it because I love to read. I mean, you can't see my tiny library because I've like taken out a lot of books from here, but I love to read. I have books from 1930s.
Wow.
So those like I can share them with you if you would like to read.
Yeah,
So it's
I also love this hobby or because reading always was so important for me. So from my childhood, I always loved reading, and that's why when I finished business development, the bachelor's degree, and I was working at the university, I decided to start English philology, the bachelor's degree. And it was just for one reason, because I love reading. And I thought, wow, imagine reading the great books of the English literature and commenting them on class and analyzing them. Uh, for me, it was fantastic. And obviously, everything you do transform yourself. In that case, it was not so clear. I was doing that just for pleasure. But finally, for example, in my case, I discovered literary criticism, and I start to apply all these analysis to myself. So rereading, it's like reviewing everything in society, but you can analyze from a different perspective. You can analyze from the perspective of the psychoanalysis, from the feminism, from the queer theory, from many perspectives. So this is so interesting when you have this ability of abstracting yourself and see the things from the distance. Sometimes I try to do that because in innovation, most of the times when people tell me, because I think, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in what you think. I'm interested in what your customer segments, the people in your customer segment, your buyer persona think. I'm not interested in what you think. So this is so important when you have this ability of saying, okay, what I think is an opinion. It's my opinion. But if I want to attend and if I want to solve real problems, I need to listen to the buyer persona, to the customer segment.
interesting because we are also now coming towards an end. I'm
Oh,
very thankful. Yeah, it's sad. That's the saddest thing I have to do, because it's always fun talking with really experienced and people with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. And we can talk for hours and hours and hours. But the goal is we keep the episode to 1 hour maximum, and then I mean, a few minutes up is okay, but 1 hour, because then the listeners also listen. But thank you so much, Manal. This was truly fun. We covered a lot of different topics, from talent to innovation, towards culture management, towards entrepreneurship, research. So we covered a lot of things. Like I'm just trying to rethink about what else did we talk about. It's a lot of things. It's been really inspiring for me, and also very insightful. So thank you again. Is there something you would like to say for our listeners as like a closing remark?
Well, just a short message. I finished my last class at the SMUC last week, saying to my students, embrace creativity, and this is something I want to share here. So, embrace creativity, challenge conformity, and above all, strive to be the best version of yourself. Finally, I want also to thank you, Majid, this opportunity of sharing this time with all your listeners. And I want to share and I want to thank your listeners for joining us in this interview. It has been a real pleasure spending this time with you and talking about tech transfer, PhDs, innovation, and more other topics. And yeah, if you want to get more information or follow my work, you can find me at LinkedIn. And thank you so much again. And until next time.
Thank you so much again, Manal. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the executives. If you found this episode valuable, or any advice, or you have questions, you can drop them here, or also the LinkedIn of Manal would be in the description section, so you can connect with him. And don't forget to subscribe and share it with your network. Until next time, this is Majid signing off.